Welcome everybody to the Alternative Investing Club. My name is Daniel Homland. Today is July 25th, 2025, and we've got a great topic for you today. We've got my CPA, Mark Perlberg, or my tax preparer, rather. And you're on mute, Mark, just so you know. Hopefully you're able to take yourself off. But I want to hear from the rest of you. First of all, just shout out, let me know how you're doing. If you, and in the chat, go ahead and put where you're coming in from. So why don't you join? And actually, if you have a topic that you want to talk about, take yourself off mute and let us know what that topic is. Otherwise, go ahead and put in the chat where you're coming in from. See Cynthia from Northern California. Shout out there. I'm Santa Rosa. I grew up born and raised in Santa Rosa, Cynthia. So Ryan, he's from Hillsboro, Oregon. That's where I live now. And then we have Brandon from Folsom and Chris from Hillsboro and Shiva from Gilbert, Arizona. Anita from San Jose, Bob from Portland, and hey, my son came in. Levi, can you shut the door, actually? Thank you. Yeah, oh, yes, you're from Hillsboro, too. All right. Mark, are you there? It looks like your picture's frozen. It's moving a little, but you're on mute. Let's unmute you. And we'll get started in just a moment as soon as Mark is able to unmute himself. He told me he was traveling and he was at a... There we go.
Hey, Dan,
is that
can you
you
hear
on
me
the
through
phone,
my
Mark?
phone?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes.
Good. And you can share
Great.
your screen too through Zoom.
Great. Yeah. So I figured the screen share will be a little lagged, but that's fine. At least we get the audio is going to be really helpful for you guys. So we'll use phone audio just like the good old days, like back in 2010 when phone was our main source of communicating via audio. And yeah, I can share my screen whenever you're ready to jump into things.
Yeah, why don't you start sharing it right now and we will kick this off. So today we're going to be talking about the big, beautiful bill, and there are a lot of provisions in there for real estate investors and frankly for investors of all types. And so Mark, I know, did a presentation on this a few weeks ago, and just because of meeting conflicts, I wasn't able to attend. So I'm looking forward to getting your take on the big, beautiful bill, Mark. Okay, I haven't seen it yet. And so for those of you who don't know, why don't you introduce yourself? And I'll let you take it away. I'll collect all the questions in the chat and try to judiciously interrupt you. And, you can present, and anytime you want to go to discussion or questions, let me know, and we can bring it over into a conversation. I hope all of you get a lot of info about this because there's a lot of good things to learn.
Fantastic. How's it going? My name is Mark Perlberg. I'm a CPA certified tax planner, and we specialize in advanced tax reduction strategies for entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and high income earners. And most of our clients do something with real estate, and we do holistic tax planning to look at everything to not only reduce your taxes this year, but every year, and looking at all sources of income and assets. We're based out of Atlanta at Prospero CPA, and we serve clients across the country. And I also have 2 cats. Anyways, Dan, you're frozen on my side. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, yes. You would have seen me laughing at your 2 cats comment.
Okay. The internet is really rough here, and working out of hotels always has its challenges. But anyways, so I'm going to just share with you some things I want you guys to think about if you're real estate investors, but also, if you are real estate investors, there are some other variables and things that are going to be of interest, assuming you're in position to invest in real estate. And then also we have the Alternative Investing Club here, so you're likely considering other strategies and assets. So really, this is going to be a topic tailored to those of you investing in real estate and how the real estate is going to impact you and your ability to save on taxes. And I know that my screen just cut out again because of the crappy internet at this hotel. So I'm going to go in and out with the slides. And if you want to see the slides, you can email me. But I have the slides on my side. You can't see them, unfortunately, but we'll still deliver good information, and you'll see visual
Hey, Mark,
slides.
do you want to email them to me? Do you want to email them to me really quickly?
Yeah, why don't we do that, and we can, that'll give me the opportunity to have you be the slide master, and I'll just tell you the number of the slides so we don't get too confused.
That works.
And that'll allow us to do it here.
And you can discontinue your video, I guess, so it saves on your bandwidth.
Yes. Here.
Sorry, everybody. I'm eating my sandwich in front of you. So while Mark is doing that, how many people right now are actively involved in a real estate investment in this club? Go ahead and put it in the chat. I also want to get, I got a number of emails from people this week saying that they weren't able to register when they were connected to the Intel network. So I want to get feedback from the group here. Were you able to register? Single family absolutely counts, Dennis. Ryan, great. SDRs, I'm still working with the SDR that Mark Perlberg actually did the cost segregation study for me. Chris is in 3 deals. I know, Mohammed, you're a beast. You are very active. Oh, Eric is doing crowdfunding. So we've got a lot of active people here. Yeah, so feedback on Intel. Was anybody able to actually register on the Intel network, or have they?
It's very
it seems to be
spotty. It's very hit or miss. Sometimes I'm having to reload the page several times, and one time it works, but most of the time it doesn't. And it either your link or Zoom link. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, it's been very difficult.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, I wouldn't think that Intel would block Zoom links.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, you know, my best advice is go to the website, put your Gmail or Outlook or Yahoo address in there, and you know you can get the invitations on your personal email account, because I've not gotten anybody who said that they weren't working that way. And of course, try disconnecting from the VPN. Thanks, Mohammed. All right, Mark.
All right.
Did you send that?
You know, I don't know if my
oh no.
I don't know if my internet connection is even. Can you hear me?
I think yes. Yes, I can hear you.
I don't even know if my internet connection. I don't even know if my internet connection is even strong enough to send the PowerPoint right now. So I'm going to keep on refreshing it and sending it as we talk.
Okay.
And once you get it, we'll get into it. But you guys should be able to understand this enough to listen in. And as soon as the visuals come, we'll get them.
All right.
Cool.
Well,
so
I'll turn it over to you then.
Okay. Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties in this hotel of mine. But anyways, so let's get into it here. So you got, Dan, what I want to get from the audience here is how many here is actually doing tax planning for their real estate? Have you guys in the audience, on a scale from 1 to 5, how much thought have you put into your tax planning? Put it in the chat. And Dan, you could tell me what we're getting from the audience here. I'm curious where you guys are in thinking about tax planning.
I did just do a question. We got a 3 coming in. I did just ask a question on who was involved in real estate here, and we got a number of people talking to us about what they do. But it looks like another 3.
A lot of cost segs in the audience?
I don't know if people in the audience have been doing cost segs.
Okay, really important stuff there.
Okay.
And okay, so let's get into it here. So we're going to talk about how the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is going to impact those of you for as real estate investors. And there's some really important stuff to keep in mind here. And what I want you to, here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how, obviously I'm sure you've heard by now about 100% bonus depreciation and what that means for you in cost seg and how much you can save on taxes if you're doing cost seg. We'll even talk about some foundational concepts with that if you haven't heard of cost seg. Other miscellaneous information in the bill you'll want to know that is indirectly tied to your real estate. How to save in taxes without compromising your business and financial strategies. And then we're also going to kind of touch on how we can really maximize our savings here with advanced tax planning and being aware of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, all that beautiful stuff, and really tying it all together for not just current tax savings, but long-term tax savings. Sound good? Anyways, as I refresh my inbox, my email system, some of the things we want to think about is obviously the big ticket item here is 100% bonus depreciation is permanently back, which, I'm sure that you guys, I imagine if you're at all paying attention to what's going on in the news, you're aware of this, right? 100% bonus depreciation is back. And what that's going to allow us to do is it just makes it really easy to create losses. The easiest way to create business losses from your real estate portfolio is going to be with cost segregation. We've done this hundreds of times. It's not even a risky strategy. In fact, it gives you more accuracy, and some would say that it's a preferred strategy with the IRS as long as it's done properly, because it gives you more accurate replacement values and whatnot. But anyways, we have the ability to create massive losses by writing off our assets, whether it be real estate or even assets used for our real estate, like our trucks and equipment, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, Mark.
And these losses can offset.
Can you explain for people what depreciation is and how it helps us create losses? I think that most people here know, but let's go over it just in case.
Yeah, let's start from the very basics here. So cost segregation is when you're writing off an asset for the wear and tear, the reduced value of that asset. So if I buy a truck from day one, it's in pretty good shape, but it's going to diminish in value, so I lose that asset over time. So I'm writing off the asset over time. The depreciation is to account for the wear and tear and reduced value of that asset. So normally, before we think about bonus, you're writing off your truck, your 6,000 pounder over truck over the course of 5 years. Time to write it off. However, when you have bonus depreciation, you are allowed to write off 100% of that truck in year one, instead of 5 years to write off the truck. So that's really where the magic happens with bonus depreciation, is that first off, you're writing off your assets. And then bonus depreciation allows you to, instead of waiting over a certain amount of time for how long the IRS says it takes for your asset to wear off, you just write it off immediately. Does that make sense?
I think it does. If anybody has questions about that, of course, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll ask them.
All right, fantastic. That's really the big ticket item here. And what we want to think about here is, okay, so now that we know we have a way to create losses with bonus depreciation. We can write off our assets really fast now. And this really becomes powerful because you're financing your assets, right? You guys aren't buying your real estate in cash. You're putting 20% down, sometimes as low as 10% down when you get a second home mortgage, right? And your trucks, you're not paying for the truck in cash most of the time. Usually you're financing it over time. So think about the opportunity here that you're not paying upfront for the asset right away. However, you get to write off the asset right away. And that's where you have this really nice situation where you're writing off an asset, but the cash that leaves your pocket is a lot less than that. So I'm paying $20,000, I'm paying $200,000 down on a $1 million property, but I can start accessing the depreciation on that right away, regardless of how much money I put in as a down payment.
Hey, Mark, we've got a couple of
by the way,
questions.
Dan,
when you're ready.
Oh, I just sent you. I restarted my computer as I was talking, and I now was able to send you the slides.
Okay.
So you can start sharing the slides as we talk.
I've got them. I'll start sharing them in a moment. Whenever you want to take questions, we've got a couple on depreciation.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the questions. And while I'm answering the questions, if you can scroll to slide 5.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds here to download it, open it, share my screen. Boy, we're on top of this. This is a professionally run club here today.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's quite
so
an
much.
operation when you
All
dealing
right.
with spotty internet. It can make life very hard.
All right, we'll put that there.
And by the way,
go ahead.
Fantastic. We're on slide 5.
Slide 5.
Beautiful. What was the question?
Yeah, let me pull those questions up here. The first one is from Manju. He's asking, is depreciation in the passive bucket, and when can we use it?
Great. So so let's go to slide. Actually, let's talk about passive income here. So if you don't have real estate professional tax status, which would mean that your spouse is working, you or your spouse is working full-time in real estate, then you can't use your real estate losses to offset ordinary income of your W-2 or your business. Unless the only other carve-out is for short-term rentals. So what's the value here? So you guys probably aren't going to be as excited about the ability to have bonus depreciation, but there's still some opportunities because the passive losses you can create in your business, at least in your rentals, that'll offset the revenue, not only from your rental property, but other rentals. It'll ensure that you maintain a cash flowing property, that you're not paying taxes on the positive cash flow. You can also use the passive losses from your real estate to offset real estate capital gains. And that could be from another property. So let's say you have a property that's selling at a capital gain of $200,000. You may be able to do a cost seg on another property to offset that capital gain. So there's still value in this opportunity, even if you can't use your losses. Unless there's another question, let's go to slide 6.
Okay, I do have 2 more questions for you, but you can present for however long you want, and then we can answer them.
Great. So let's hear the questions.
All right, we have a question from Paul. What does the bonus mean in bonus depreciation?
So bonus depreciation just means that you're going to be able to write off 100% or whatever that depreciation amount is in year 1. So that's what they mean by bonus. The bonus is that you don't have to wait the full length of the asset. So every asset is going to be depreciating over a certain length of time. And the bonus element of this is that you are able to not wait the full 5 years of the asset life to write the entire thing off immediately.
Okay. I'm looking for how to actually share the full screen here, so bear with me. I don't use LibreOffice very often.
Okay, and so another thing I want to share here. So you guys, thank you. What you're going to see here is, as far as how you can use your losses to offset your income here, here's just another thing I want to share with you guys. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, this is great, we can create losses, but what does that mean to me? And like, I want to have profit in my business, right? So we create paper losses. Even if you're cash flow positive, you're accessing all this depreciation through the strategies of, we'll talk about cost seg in a little bit. The way it can offset your ordinary income is, you can see this little chart, and you may want to take a screenshot of this because your CPA may not even understand what this means here. So this is going to share how you can use losses to offset your other income. And essentially, you're always going to need material participation. So a certain threshold of how much time you put in your rental. If you have material participation and the average length of stay is 7 days or less, or a short-term rental, Now your losses can be utilized to offset your business or your W-2 income. And now we do these cost segregation studies to accelerate your depreciation, create six-figure business write-offs. And we'll talk about it in a little bit. Now, if you have material participation, then we want to know, if you scroll below that, is if the average length of stay is not 7 days or less, either you or your spouse is going to need to be a real estate professional to use these losses to offset your other sources of income. See, so you follow that chart. Yes, you need material participation. If it's not a short-term rental, you need rep status, real estate professional. If you have all of those placed, you are into the promised land of non-passive losses through rentals, and you can now offset your other income sources. Let's move to the next screen, Dan. Although it seems like I'm back on Zoom by restarting my computer. I bought some time, but I don't trust this internet. It may go out again. So, so we can deduct. So essentially what we do here for real estate investors is anytime we have personal property, whether it's in your rental or not, we're going to be able to write off 100% of those items, whether it's what we're going to find here is if you have assets, whether it be a refrigerator or a cabinet or the truck in your real estate business, or even the driveway, believe it or not, all these things can be written off immediately, giving you immediate tax write-offs and potential reduction in your taxable income. Let's go to the next screen. And let's talk about, so some of these things are the big ticket item. And if you haven't heard of cost segregation, and if you're interested in reducing your taxes through real estate, cost segregation is the biggest ticket item. I would equivalent to, you know, what Bob Marley is to reggae music is what cost segregation is to real estate tax planning. So what we can do here is we can look at this property. Let's go to the next screen. And essentially what we're doing here is we can actually, let's go to the next screen as well. Normally a real estate is going to depreciate over 27.5 or 39 years, and that's a long time to write off your asset. I mean, you're shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy this real estate, and you can't write it off right away. Well, that kind of stinks. You can't write off the land ever, and the building, you're going to get that depreciation write-off over 39 or 27.5 years. But what happens is we do this cost segregation study, and we say, hey, that refrigerator is not lasting 39 years. Neither is the laundry machine, neither is the carpet, neither are the cabinets. And you pull out all these items and you put them into this other category of assets that you write off. And you write them off faster because they're now personal property. They're not actually part of the building. The refrigerator isn't part of the building. It depreciates faster, and we can write off that refrigerator immediately. And the amount of deduction we get is going to be typically 25 to 30% of purchase price with some variations, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. That is a huge chunk of a tax deduction that you can get on these rental properties. Let's go to the next screen. So here's just one example of a client we worked with. Now, you do not need to purchase a property of this size to see the benefits of cost seg. And we've done much smaller. But anyways, a client purchased a property for $1.925 million. The next screen. And the cost segregation study identified $702,000 depreciation. Go to the next screen. And the tax savings you're going to see here was about a little over $250,000 from this purchase. So, you know, for someone in a high bracket, you're getting almost all of your money back. Now, in the past, cost segregation has kind of gotten up and down, and it was phasing out. And, you know, if you look at what was going to happen before this bill, cost seg was already down to, instead of writing off 100% of that asset in year one, which everybody's so excited about, you're only going to write off 40% for bonus. So not nearly as exciting. It really took away from the value of these cost segs. But now that we have 100% bonus back, now everybody's excited. We get this gigantic write-off up front. And we're back to what used to be to me. I was looking at this as like the golden era for real estate investors, where it was just so easy to create tax losses. And it looks like this is, until they change the law, this is assumed to be permanent, 100% bonus depreciation, which is a really amazing thing for real estate investors. And let's talk about what this means for you guys. So as bonus was phasing down, what we did was we had to raise the price by which it made sense to do a cost segregation study. So if you have like a $250,000 property, 40% bonus wasn't very exciting for us, right? You wouldn't be able to get that much of a deduction if you're only writing off 40% of those assets up front. So we needed to look at least $500,000 of a purchase for this to make sense at all. But now that we have 100% bonus, even these smaller properties will make sense to do the cost segs on. You're going to need fewer cost segregation studies to create these tax savings. You're just going to get more bang for the buck, more upfront depreciation on each of your rentals. So it's going to be easier to create tax savings from the cost segregation studies. Another thing here is because it's so easy to get bonus depreciation, we may want to combine this with what's called Section 179 deduction, which is not bonus. It's a different election, and it often gets confused in social media. People assume they're the same. They're not, but it gives you more flexibility in controlling the timing of your depreciation because you may not need it all. It's become a lot easier to reduce your taxes to a very low bracket.
Mark, I was going to say that actually goes to a question that somebody had and that is, if we're not able to use all of it, does it roll over to the next year?
Yeah. So this is where tax strategy, you actually want to have someone who's doing your return that's strategic. There's actually a planning element as you prepare the return. So if you have cost segregation studies or large amounts of bonus depreciation, you really need a preparer who can align and understands your situation currently and in the future to see when is the best time to take these write-offs, because there's flexibility. And one of the things here is that when you take a real estate loss, if it's non-passive, like I said, it can offset your other income sources. But if you don't take it this year, any unused losses carry forward. So let's say we bring you down to a negative $300,000 of income. Those unused losses are going to carry forward, but they change the nature when they're carried forward, unfortunately. That's not true of other business laws, but with real estate, when they're carried forward, they're no longer non-passive in the carry forward, and they no longer can offset your W-2. So they're not nearly as valuable if you go below zero. So, we want to hit that sweet spot. We want to get you to that point where you can still use your standard or itemized deduction, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And maybe we want to get you your child tax credits, because if you don't use it, you lose it. So we want to at least have some income, because after a certain point, the depreciation is completely useless. We might as well stretch it out a little bit so it's all continuously offsetting your income and creating savings instead of just chipping away at an amount that's not even being taxed. So timing is imperative here as we make these depreciation elections. Some other variables we'll talk about that are going to be kind of aligned with this on the timing and there's a depreciation strategy that your preparer should be aware of. Another thing here is for some of our clients here, if you have the ability to take advantage of these depreciation deductions, you can consider reducing your quarterly payments immediately. If you're a business owner, and even if you're a W-2, you can adjust your W-3s or maybe form W-4, sorry, but you can adjust the withholdings that are coming out of your pay stubs. So instead of waiting until someone does your return in April of the following year or even later, you can see the immediate benefit of the tax reduction. If you know that you've eliminated your federal taxes, instead of waiting for the refund and giving an interest-free loan to the IRS, you can reduce the withholdings now, and now you have more money to further invest, build your wealth, or even buy more assets that will create more tax savings down the line. That's a really cool idea to consider here. Again, just emphasizing you can use cost segregation as a great capital gains planning strategy to offset other real estate capital gains. And what's really exciting for us, and this is something you're not going to hear anyone talk about, you're not going to see the TikTok gurus on this one, is we have this wonderful interception where we have the Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and we have the ABBA, One Big Beautiful Bill Act, intersecting at the same time before the Inflation Reduction Act phases out, where we can take advantage of 100% bonus and all these energy incentives together in a single strategy with solar panels. where we're getting tax credits, we're reducing our energy costs, and we are getting 100% bonus depreciation on our panels. It's just insane what we can do. We have one client who's buying a $40,000 panel for a short-term rental. He's paying for the energy anyways. $25,000 tax credit between federal and state. So he's only paying for, sorry, $25,000 from South Carolina, $30,000 from the federal taxes. So 55% tax credit. Paying for 45% of this panel, and it's going to save him $80,000 in energy, and he's writing off the panel. That's just insane what you can do when you factor in all this. And the solar tax credits and incentives are going away. And now, if you really want to take this to the next level, and for those of you listening who have paid more than $200,000 in taxes over the past 3 years, with a lot of our clients, what we're doing now is we're helping them buy panels to rent out to other people. And we're setting that up. And you can actually get back, you can not only eliminate 75% of your current year taxes, but 75% of each of your prior 3 years of taxes with the solar energy tax credits. And, you know, the government's paying for 40% of those tax credits, of those panels. So you're getting, essentially, you can either pay the IRS or you're buying the panels at a discount net of the credits, and even getting back with prior year taxes if you didn't do enough tax planning. So really exciting advanced planning opportunities because of the intersection of these two bills, when you can take advantage of both at the same time for a limited time.
Hey, Mark, when are the energy credits going away exactly?
They're already phasing out. You know, I really want to give you guys a clear answer on this. Unfortunately, we're awaiting some executive orders. And I believe the residential, like for your primary, is going to be gone this year. And then the other ones are like, essentially, it depends on the year that it started. It has to be started with a certain time frame. I'm still waiting on clear guidance on this bill. I've seen a lot of kind of contradictory things. And it's a 900-page bill. I haven't had a chance to give you incredibly clear guidance, but these opportunities are quickly going away, and we're helping our clients take advantage of it before time runs out.
Okay. We have a question from Sujay, and he's asking, if you take the bonus depreciation, are you on the hook to hold the property until it's completely paid off? If you sell the property before that, will you be expected to return the bonus depreciation claimed in the first year?
Great. So we have the, with bonus depreciation, you don't have to hold it for 5 years, but whenever you sell that property, the depreciation is recaptured. So you write off $100,000 in bonus, you sell it down the road, you can assume that you're going to be paying recapture of $100,000. However, sometimes if there's enough meat on the bone to do the analysis, you can say, okay, we're selling our property. Let's go back to this refrigerator example. Well, we have a 5-year-old fridge. You know, the value of that fridge when we bought it was $1,000. Nowadays, the value of the fridge 5 years later, it's got some stains on it. Ice machine may not be as valuable, so you can actually assign a smaller value. So you may be able to not pay recapture on all of the bonus that you've taken in the past. But yes, it is recaptured.
Okay.
You do not. It doesn't have to do with you paying off the loan or not. Those two concepts are unrelated.
All right. And he has a follow-up question also to score a reasonable bonus depreciation to offset W-2 income. The property value has to be reasonably high. Is that the right understanding? Typically in the range of 10 to 15% of the value of the property. So he's, let's see, also to score reasonable. I'm not sure I quite understand your question, Sujay. Maybe if you could put some clarification in there. Mark, if you understood that, are there any limitations on the price of the property with bonus depreciation?
So in the law, there's no limitations. So really, it's a case-by-case scenario where we just want to make sure that the return on investments is appropriate for the procedures. So if you're going to invest $5,000 into a cost tag, we want to make sure you're saving at least $20,000 from the accelerated depreciation in that scenario. So it's a case-by-case basis analysis, depending on the property, features of the property, and what your tax bracket is.
All right. And Dennis is commenting here that the EV tax credit is going away in September this year. FYI.
Yep. Elon Musk should have been a little nicer to Donald Trump, and unfortunately, he didn't get what he wanted.
All right.
California folks, you guys got to be wondering what's going on there. Are you guys still trying to go off gasoline by like a certain year? Is that still a thing in California?
Is it 2035? I have no idea.
Yep.
Hey, I wanted to ask you
We'll see
also.
what happens with that.
I wanted to ask you also, there's a pretty big real estate deduction for those that are in the industrial manufacturing sector, not just in single family homes, but if you're buying manufacturing or you're onshoring manufacturing. Have you spent any time looking at that and have any comments about it?
Yeah, there's a slide on it later down the road.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just a bullet point, but yeah, for U.S. manufacturing real estate, which is really exciting, 100% of the building can be written off immediately. So instead of doing a cost seg where you may be able to write off like 25 to 40%, like 30% of the building up front, now you're going to be able to write off all of whatever value we assign to the building, not the land, but the building. We're going to be able to depreciate 100% in year one, which is amazing. So that is a new opportunity, and eventually we'll find some people syndicating deals on that, and who knows what we'll find.
Yeah, absolutely. Real estate has been an area that syndicators have done a fair amount in over the last couple of years, just because it's been one of the higher performing sectors within real estate over the last 2 to 3 years. And so definitely look for opportunities in industrial real estate that might be taking advantage of that tax provision.
Very interesting. Very exciting to see what we told. Unless we have any other questions, let's go to the next slide.
All right.
And so here's some other things I want you guys to think about for real estate. And let's talk about like some of the dangers here is, it's really easy to be seduced by this idea of 100% bonus and riding off your G-Wagon like the TikTok gurus like to do and come up with all reasons to write off your yachts and this stuff. But you want to be aware of what is depreciation recapture. So if you're going to sell that asset, you are likely to pay taxes on pretty much paying back that recapture tax. And the depreciation recapture from those cost segs is taxed at your marginal rate. It's not 25%, it's not 15%, it's whatever your federal marginal rate is. And if there's a lot of it, you may be bumped into a higher marginal rate. So you want to make sure you're planning for it. And when that comes, if you're going to incur the recapture, there's other strategies aligned with that. Also, most states are not going to conform to bonus. So before you jump up and down and sell or brave about 100% bonus, especially for you California folks, you're still going to be paying taxes on the California side. In most states, they may give you some of the assets deduction, but not all of it up front. So you may be surprised to find that you're not seeing nearly as much of an advantage on the state side. And besides the fact, California doesn't even conform to real estate professional tax status. So the state taxes are not going to be impacted as heavily. And also be aware of taking on too much debt. Your tax planning has to be more than just one idea. It's about more than just accumulating assets that you can write off using other people's money, right? Because those assets may not be aligned with your business, and the debt creates a risk. And then also consider and be aware of what I call phantom profits, because you still have to pay for these assets. You still have to pay for your G-Wagon or whatever assets you have and your real estate, and you're accumulating debt. And my concern for some of these folks here who are a little bit overzealous about the idea of eliminating taxes with bonuses, eventually your money's going to be going to pay off all your debt obligations, and it's not going to be 100% tax deductible. You provide off the interest, but when you pay off a debt, it's not a tax deductible event. So you're losing money. Money is leaving your pocket, but you're not getting a tax deduction for it. So what's going to happen when you're cash flow negative, because you're paying off all this debt, but you're actually showing profits on paper and paying taxes on your profits? So we want to be planning for this and make sure we have a holistic tax plan that is not just relying on assets and debt to drive down our taxes.
Mhm.
Let's go to the next slide.
Hey, Mark, can I throw another provision in really quickly, or at least mention it that I find exciting?
Yeah.
I think I've told this story to people that are here in this group, but when my grandparents passed away, we ended up losing our family farm because at the time the estate tax exemption or the gift tax exemption was, I think, at $600,000. This was in the 90s. And one thing that the Big Beautiful Bill does is it actually increases it. It's been steadily going up ever since then, so it's quite a bit more than it is now. But the Big Beautiful Bill has extended the estate tax exemption. So if you have a property or land that your parents own or somebody in your family owns, the exemption is now at $15,000 per or $15 million per person, or 30 million for a couple. And if my grandfather had lived to the ripe old age of what would it be right now, like 113, if he died this year, that family farm, which had been in our family for 121 years, we would still have it. And so that is actually exciting for people that want to leave inheritances to their children or to their heirs. There's a much larger estate tax exemption from the Big Beautiful Bill.
Yeah,
All right.
what happened was they were about to cut it in half if they didn't come up with the new legislation. So there was intense pressure because if the estate exemption got dropped down to 6 million, a lot of people would be in a really rough spot. Some other things so that's a really nice win. Also, some other things, 100% bonus on non-residential manufacturing, which we talked about. C-stores or convenience stores and gas stations are also 100% deductible. They always were going to get you that bonus depreciation amount, but when it got down to 60 and then 40%, not as exciting. Now we can write off all of our C-stores as well, and there are ways to invest in those. Maybe we'll find someone for you to bring in on that. And high depreciation on mobile home parks has always been a thing from cost sides. And it's just something to think about as an alternative strategy if you want to gain access to lots of depreciation. Let's go to the next slide.
All right.
The advantages going away. We talked about the solar phasing out. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
And let's talk about
the Trump accounts.
The Trump accounts. This isn't going to be active until next year, but it's a neat way where you can put money in a tax-deferred account for minors. You don't need to be their, they don't need to be your dependents. You don't need earned income. When the money goes tax-deferred and the money comes out, it's taxed at your capital gains rate. Really neat. Now, this is obviously not attached to real estate at all. But for those of you listening, you're of the similar demographic that wants to win the game. And you can use these Trump accounts to pay for lots of things like job training, education, starting of a small business, first-time home purchase. And likely when you take the money out, there's a way where likely the people taking the money out are in the 0 to 8 gain cap gains bracket. So it can almost grow like a Roth. So that's going to be a really neat thing. And if you have a child born between 2005 and 2009, the government's going to put $1,000 into it when you're born. Neat little thing there to
are these automatically opened up, or do you need to apply for them at the time of your child's birth? How does that work?
Nobody knows. They haven't implemented anything yet, so I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah.
All right.
Next slide. Let's talk about just another thing here for short-term rentals. Consider raising the price because we have a lot of affluent people, a lot of dentists and doctors in California looking for tax savings, and they want to pay a high cost for these vacation rentals in the Smokies and elsewhere. And the tax savings is factored into the price in many situations, and they're very desirable for the tax savings. So if you have a short-term rental you're selling, consider the demand and the desire now that we have solidified this 100% bonus that they can take on the purchase price. Let's go to the next slide. Other changes that clients care about here. We have this SALT cap where you can now write off $40,000 of state and local taxes against federal. As long as your income is $500,000 or less. And now here's where we can align your depreciation strategy with your real estate strategies. You get some cost seg losses, or maybe even do some advanced strategies like hire the kids or set up some tax deferred accounts and hire the spouse to manage the real estate, bring it down to that sweet spot of $400,000 or $500,000, and now you're writing off $40,000 of your SALT deductions, right? Your state and local taxes. Maybe we time the bonus so you get that every year, even if you're not buying more assets. So that's a nice win here that just sweetens the deal to keep you in a certain AGI level here. Here's another one that's SALT is state and local taxes. So your personal property taxes, state taxes coming out of your W-2, personal property taxes paid from county, et cetera, et cetera. You only have to write a 1099 if you pay someone $2,000 instead of $600. Less work there. Renewal of qualified opportunity zones is really exciting as well. Great capital gains planning opportunity, and where you can essentially have like a supercharged Roth or IRA where the money grows, the exit is tax-free. This is going to really be exciting starting in 27. In mid-year 2026, if you don't know anyone, I'll send you some guys, Dan, to talk about QOZs, because you could start deferring. Actually, you could start, I would say, in 2027, because then you get this rolling 5-year time period where you wait 5 years, you defer the taxes for 5 years now, well, starting in 27, and then you get you can get a 10% step up in basis, and that's going to increase to 30% step up in basis if it's in a rural qualified opportunity zone. And also there's all this criteria to develop the real estate with the QOZ, and it became a lot easier to do. Instead of improving it based on 100% of the building's value, it's only 50%. So it becomes a lot more feasible in the execution. And there's all sorts of innovative strategies for when you've recognized the deferred taxes to drive it down based on property valuations, and all sorts of things that we can do to time it. So it's not just tax deferral, but partial tax elimination combined with the step up. So very exciting opportunities to come with QOZs, and you don't need to be a real estate investor. Any cap gain can go into that. So for any of you here with any cap gain, a lot of exciting stuff. We have the estate exemption, which we talked on. Let's go to the next slide here.
Okay, we have a really quick question on what is a SALT deduction?
Oh, right now it's 10,000.
No, I think he means what does SALT stand for? Or
state and local taxes.
State and local taxes. There you go.
Yes, so your property taxes on your primary residence, state taxes going out of your W-2.
All right. Oh, and I see Chris replied with that in the chat too.
Great. QBI is permanent, and that was going to go away, so that's a 20% deduction. If you're a full-time business owner, this is relevant. Sometimes relevant for real estate as well on how that kind of comes together. So if essentially your CPA can evaluate your situation to see how relevant that is. R&D isn't going to be, for some of you folks, it'll be relevant. It works for real estate developers. So if you're doing anything in that area, that'll be applicable. Let's go to the next slide. And let's talk about what you guys should be thinking about now, right? Let's go to the next slide. And just talking about this, how I want you guys to think about this. If you haven't done tax planning, especially now for any of you investing in real estate, you should at least have some conversations, whether it's a traditional IRA all the way up to the more sophisticated vehicles. If you're paying over $100,000 in federal tax per year, you got to be doing at least having some form of a conversation to see what you can do about this with the strategies we referenced earlier. And some of them, you don't need real estate professional tax status at all, or even short-term rentals. Dan and I, we talk about things like oil and gas, and there's a million other things out there to consider. And you want to build this compounding wealth strategy that acknowledges the changes in the law there. So as far as just next steps, you can scroll through the next slide. If you want to see how any of this applies to you here, you go to the next slide. What we do is we do an opportunity report, and it's completely free, just so you guys can see what it's like. And we're going to share with you. You fill out a quick survey, and you'll have an interview with our team, and you'll get a personalized video. Let's go to the next. Just keep scrolling through the next slides. You get a personal video from me showing tax projections and really just a new way to look at your taxes and how any of this may apply to you. Maybe we can share with you what it works with us, but at the very least, we can share with you how this could apply if you're interested. So you could let's go to the next slide here. if you want to learn more, you can go to prosperocpa.com/opportunity report if you want to see what all of this stuff means for you. Because I know that I just threw a lot at you guys. So you might want to copy and paste that into your URL if you're interested. And also, if you guys are not ready to talk to anybody, or you just want to get an intro to what tax planning means and how it works and the basic framework, we have a free tax planning checklist and mini course at taxplanningchecklist.com. So either of those places, if you want to talk to us and get direct feedback, go to the Opportunity Report website. And then you can go to taxplanningchecklist.com if you just want to get in our system and get invited to some of our free events and our newsletters and get the free course.
I like your domain name there, Mark. Tax Planning Checklist. Good stuff.
Yep. Keeping it simple. So the people in the car, if you can't remember what I said earlier, taxplanningchecklist.com, you'll be dialed into our system.
All right.
Case studies, see some good stuff.
At the moment, we don't have any other questions, but if anybody wants to put in last-minute questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. Or, frankly, at this point, I think you could just take yourself off mute. We've got a smaller group here today, so if you want to do that, you can do that as well. But Mark, are you? How big is this bill for real estate investors? I think my biggest takeaway is that there is the 100% bonus depreciation, which is coming back. And that was always a great advantage or a great opportunity for real estate, just to be able to deduct, a large amount in the first year. Aside from that, do you see this as being something that's a big advantage for real estate investors, or is this, just changes as they come?
It's monumental for real estate investors because the greatest advantage of real estate investing has always been the depreciation. And bonus was phasing out and down. And now we've locked it in. So we, in the past, we saw on the horizon the bonus phase out. And, 100% bonus is a relatively newer concept. So we're like, oh, well, this is nice. Let's take advantage of it while we have it. Well, now it's set in stone, at least in the current law. There's no more phase outs. So what that means is it's really easy to create tax losses from your real estate now. And you can compound those losses and grow your wealth very quickly with this. And you can use those losses not only for offsetting your ordinary income, but for some capital gains planning to ensure you may not pay taxes on your real estate cap gains events. So it's a really huge win for real estate investors. And then the other things can tie into it. I like the SALT cap, but that's a $40,000 deduction. It's not incredibly life-changing. And it's going away in 29, believe it or not. It's a temporary opportunity. So it's pretty big for you guys. We've had 100% bonus in the past, but now that it's locked in, it just means that you can do this for a longer period of time. So it is a big win.
Okay. And I think, Mark, I'm going to be contacting you about looking at solar panels on my short-term rental. I've never gone through an evaluation for that, and I'd be curious to see what that turns up.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's one of the few ways that you can reduce costs in your business and save money in taxes at the same time. Very few opportunities to do both at the same time.
All right.
So very exciting.
As you guys know, at the end of every meeting, everybody takes themselves off of mute. So could you please do that now? Take yourself off mute and thank Mark for coming in and speaking to us today.
Thank you,
Mark.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you, Mark. Thanks.
Absolutely. Happy to to serve and share, and hopefully you guys have some good ideas and feel inspired by the tax savings opportunities that this bill has created. And the future is yours. And the IRS and the tax law has made it a lot easier for you guys to achieve your goals.
Can I throw in one last minute question, Mark?
Let's hear it.
In your opinion, does it make sense, the solar panels make sense on a long-term rental, or is it just the short-term rentals?
It's trickier with the long term because they're probably paying the energy out to the county already. So it's trickier. If you don't have a tenant in place, you could probably become the person who charges the energy. But it's not as exciting. Where I like to see it is short-term rentals, and if you have like a commercial rental, or if you own where you work, that's where it becomes a little more feasible to see to execute on it.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Next week, we're going to have Donato Callahan. He's going to be coming in and talking to us about his real estate analyzer software. So looking forward to that. And as always, we'll be here every Friday at noon. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Daniel. You too.
Absolutely.
See you later, Dennis.
Thanks for hosting me, Dan. Hope to hear from you guys, and have a wonderful day.
For those of you who don't know, Mark stepped in at the very last moment after we had a speaker cancellation. So thank you, Mark, for doing that.
Yes, I would like to say that I am more reliable than my internet connection here. And I appreciate you guys, and let's keep in touch.
Cheers.